welcome to this very special show, and I'm your host, Ruchiraa Sharma. Whenever you make an application for credit, be it for your dream home, your luxury car, or even a credit card, the game changer is your credit score. The lender will refer to that and decide whether you are credit-worthy or not. But conceptually, credit score is a rather nascent concept in the country. So to decode the various myths that surround credit score as a concept, we are here at the office of OneScore, a tech-powered financial app that gives you detailed insights into your credit history and your report. And all this free of cost. So let's find out more. The OneScore app was launched in June 2019, and it's a one-of-kind, unique financial management platform that allows consumers to address all the gaps in their credit score. And to understand how this tech-powered platform really works, I'm on my way to meet Mr. Ruchiraa Sharma, CEO and founder of OneScore. So let's find out more. Hello, Mr. Ruchiraa. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too.
So tell us, for the benefit of our viewers, what exactly is a credit score and why is it an important indicator of our financial health?
So credit score at a very generic level, it's a mathematical score which is built on your past behavior of payments, whatever you have done for any loans or credit cards you've taken, and it kind of predicts how well you have been on your payments. People need to understand how to maintain this so that they can access credit in future at a cheaper cost and in an easy manner.
All right, so whether you're credit worthy or not, that is exactly
Absolutely. Whether you're able to keep up your promises or not. In fact, in developed world, credit score is heavily used in areas like employments, marriages, because it kind of shows that whether you're able to keep up your promises.
To meet your dreams, basically.
Yeah, can you plan your life well or not? And can you live within the plans and limits you ascribe for yourself?
All right. But tell me, what exactly is OneScore? How does it work? It is a tech-powered platform, a one-of-its-kind platform, which actually uses an AI-based score planner to enable users to understand and build their credit score. So how does it really work? And what is the core offering? What is the unique advantage that you're offering as opposed to other platforms?
Yeah. So credit score is almost now 11 to 12 years product in the country. We have 4 bureaus and they're regulated by Reserve Bank of India and Score. What we saw, while the scores have been there and been used by lending industry to assess you, at a customer level, the awareness just came up in last 4-5 years, especially around 2016-17 when Reserve Bank of India allowed customers to get access to their bureau score, even when they're not looking for a loans. Because the insight is, you should actually check your score before you are looking for a loan. Because if you are looking for a loan, it's too late. I mean, if for any reason your score is less, you will not have time to build it because you want to get access to credit immediately. What are the factors which affects that? So we saw that, as India is becoming younger and younger, a lot of young Indians would access to credit. And it's, they need to be made aware that how can they maintain their credit health as they embark on their financial life. So we saw this as an opportunity and a problem to solve. And how we're different from others is that we have been very, very, purist in our approach. Right. In the sense that we go deeply into this subject and help people understand how the score is built, especially like the feature you spoke about, the planner.
Tech powered.
Now there are a lot of customers where score has gone down for whatever reasons. Now there are generic insights available, but people want actionable insights. What can I do?
Data-driven insights in real time.
What can we fix it? Study my data and give me an advice. So we built a machine-powered tool where it guides you over a period of time, gives you actionable insight. What action can you take, to help build a good score? Frankly speaking, this was relevant for customers who are looking for a loan and checkout score. But as I mentioned, there are a lot of customers who are genuinely interested about building their credit health at their own pace. And I strongly advise people that you should start looking at your health even before because that's when you have time to actually build it. Because let's say, in a way, it's a circular problem. You build a good score if you have access to credit, but you get access to credit if you have a good score. So in a way, you got to start ahead.
Chicken and egg situation.
Exactly, you got to start ahead. And good old days, the credit was more of restricted towards few product categories, and a lot of people used to take access to credit quite late in their life. but given the way we are more consumption-oriented economy now, and a lot of focus is on young Indians to drive consumptions today rather than wait for future.
All right.
They need to get access to credit because you have a young middle class who have aspirations here and affordability here. You need to
And
bridge
need to
the
bridge
gap.
that gap.
You need to bridge the
Yes.
gap. So access to credit is becoming more and more mainstream, and that's why even banks and non-banks, you just see the proliferation of, we used to see around 3 to 4 loans in a customer's life, like
All
10
right.
years back. Today, people borrow around 7 to 8 times. You have credit cards, you have consumer loans, you have two-wheeler loans. You have loans for marriages also now.
Of course.
So I guess
And education and homes
education
and cars.
loan,
Yes.
people are taking vacation loans. So I think home improvement. So what I'm trying to say that access to credit is becoming more mainstream. Somebody has to solve this problem of educating this young middle class that okay, how
This is
to
how you go about
maintain the credit. A lot of people ask us, especially the new to credit customers, that how does score get built? I'm here. So we launched a simulator for them where they can simulate a loan and then look at how the score is getting built. Now, then a lot of people ask us that, okay, fine, I've got the simulation, but how can I actually build a score? So we then started recommending products like you should actually get access to a secured credit card, put an FD. Indians love to put money
How
in
do you
FDs.
go about it?
You just put an FD and take a credit card against that. Because putting money in FD is a very natural behavior for Indians.
For an Indian,
You know
yes.
that all of us have FDs, our
Absolutely.
parents have FDs. We say fine, and this can actually go beyond any parts of the country.
All right.
So another good thing we are looking at in the credit score is that when we started, it was largely like a 20-30 cities phenomena, but now as we see the platform scaling up to 10 million users, we are seeing consumers coming from tier 3, tier 4 towns also. So this is now proliferating much deeper in India.
Mr. Anurag, I wanted to also understand how are you connecting the dots literally in terms of scale and security? Because whenever we talk about data, the automatic concern is about managing it and securing it. So how the customer's data, how are you keeping it safe, and how are you mitigating any risks associated with it?
Absolutely, very, very relevant question, especially because we're dealing with credit data, that too coming from regulated entities. So, there is a very well-defined framework when you get access to this data. And, bureaus where we actually get the data access to for our customers, they have very well-defined procedures in terms of security standard we need to follow. And, regular audits happen. So, we are compliant to that right from day one. So that's one. Second thing is, as I mentioned, our background is ex-bankers. We have been in banks for more than 15 years. The entire founding team is ex-bankers. So we understand the value of this data for our customers. I think that one is that is on the. I think this is table stake for us.
Absolutely.
But I just want to highlight that. How can we communicate this trust back to the customer? And I think security and building things at scale so that you can provide the service to consumer. Consumer is expecting a level above that, which is where our promise around spam and ads makes a lot of difference.
All right.
I'll tell you another insight. Very early in our life, we made a call that we don't take access to your SMS as well as email. A lot of other platforms take access.
They do.
And the reason why we don't take, in fact, a lot of customers ask us, why don't you
Why
take
don't you
access
ask
to
for
that?
this?
We say we don't, because for a score business, I don't
don't
need
need
to
all
take.
that.
So why should I read your email and why should I read your SMS if I'm actually providing a credit score services? Now, this is a very small insight, but
But
let
a
me
very
tell
important
you,
one,
it becomes very important. Almost 55% of our users are organic in nature, where somebody else recommended us.
All right.
These small
Word of
things
mouth.
play a major
Of
role.
course. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Anurag. It was a pleasure having you here with us.
Thank you.
So we were in conversation with Mr. Anurag Sinha, CEO and co-founder OneScore. But coming up on the other side, we will get behind the scene of this Pune-based fintech startup and find out what an average day looks like here. Welcome back. We are here on this very special show and we will find out more about a space that is not much spoken about. That is the credit score space. And the reason for this is that various financial platforms have too many ads and a lot of spamming for the users. And that is where OneScore comes to your rescue. So, the three individuals who came together to begin this interesting journey, powered by technology, we will find out more about OneScore from those men. So, welcome, and it's great to have you with us here today. So, let's begin by introducing them. I have with me on my left Mr. Rupesh Kumar, CTO and CPO OneScore, Mr. Anurag Sinha, founder and CEO OneScore, and Mr. Vibhav Hathi, CBO, CMO OneScore. So let me just begin by asking you the most obvious question that all of you have had more than 15 years of experience in the banking sector. How did this come about? What was the main thought behind launching OneScore? And what were the pain points of users that you wanted to address? So you can take this if you like.
So, when we started looking at the space, we figured out that while there were products here, customers were not happy with them. So, as individuals, we tried some of these products, and we saw that these products were sort of meant to cross-sell other products. So, if you check the score from a website A, the next day you will be flooded with offers from customers. Plus, the insights that you were getting on these platforms were not that great. So we thought, hey, there's an opportunity to do something here, and that's how we came together and we thought, let's build something good, which helps customers figure out their credit journey.
All right. What about you, Mr. Anurag? Would you like to add to this?
Frankly, we are surprised with the response. When we started the product, we never thought this is such a deep problem. Because, sometimes coming from banking industry where we are so used to use credit score, we just thought that everybody else also understands like that. But the way adoption was so rapid, we just found that this was like a market, another problem waiting to be solved. And as Rupesh said, there were products available, where people can check score. But I think while the generic awareness went up about score, the people are looking for the next level of problems. How can we improve it? What does it take to build the score? How the score gets built? How do I maintain it? Why should I have a good score? Where all we can use. So, and then extended to credit education and building history, so much so a lot of people didn't know that, there is a calibration difference between the two scores coming from two bureau. Even though your data is same, why my score so different from one bureau to other bureau? Or is this a monthly score? Is this the daily score? Should I check it once in a year?
Definitely.
So I'm just saying that, we almost started from the bottom, and we got surprised by the level of problem market had, and which led to a massive response for us.
All right. So I want to also understand from you, Vibhav, the concept of credit score is rather new in India and not much has been spoken about it, but people are waking up to the fact that it is a very important indicator of financial health. So what are the trends that you have seen in this space over the last few years that you launched?
So couple of key trends, the fact that you should not check your credit score only when you need to take a credit product. It takes time to build a credit score. So slowly there is an increase in awareness that you need to take time to build your credit score. It's also important to understand how you build it. So trends around understanding that should I take a particular product like a card, should I take a loan, how many. So the desire of Indians and especially young Indians to understand this has been growing in the last few years.
All right. So, Mr. Rupesh, if I would ask you to tell me what is unique about OneScore, what is the competitive advantage that OneScore is providing to its users, what would that be?
So when we started the journey, one of the key things for us was we wanted to make sure that we never spam the users. So if you read the tagline of the product, the tagline says no ads, no spam.
All right.
So that's where we started from. But on top of that, what we brought to the market is a level of insight not seen before in this product.
Right.
So when you download OneScore, give some basic information, and you get insight, one of the first thing that you'll notice is we try to tell you that this is not a one-time score, which is represented as a graph over a period of time, which means that your score can change over a period of time.
All right.
Then there are what we call insight cards, and those are personalized to you as a user. So every card tells something about you and your score, which is unique to you. And so these are basic things which are derived using models and rule engines that we have built internally. But what we also did is, on top of this, we built very interesting products. Like we have a score planner. If you have a low score and you want to increase your score, what could you do? So we run lots of models to suggest next actions to you. So lots of unique features, but mainly driven by insights is what we bring to the market.
All right, so that brings me to my next question. The fintech landscape is changing, the narrative is changing, and it's all powered by technology. And yours is the only app which has an AI-driven score planner. So tell us, how exactly does that work, and how do you provide these insights in real time?
So I think, as Rupesh said, this is build. The first element of this is it's completely personalized. It's for you. It's not a generic insight. The second thing is it's completely machine driven, and you have to be cognizant of the fact that you're looking at very large data sets for a very large set of users. And they need to do this. Score doesn't change every week or every day. You need to sustain your habits to be able to do that. So we are talking about crunching a large data sets for the consumers and give them personalized insights. And this is very intuitively defined, that you can choose yourself how much time period and what's your score target, and the insights are tailored for that. So in a way, you decide how do you want to improve your score within the time frame, because ultimately the action has to be taken by you.
All right.
So what OneScore will do, it's like an intelligent tool in your hand which will guide you the journey, but you got to do it.
All right, so my next question is actually very natural. Whenever there's talk of data, there's also talk of security. So for the benefit of our viewers, could you tell us how secure is their data? And on an app like yours, what are the guidelines for sharing the credit history, and who is it shared to, and who can not view it? How safe is their data?
We understand that we hold a responsibility towards the user's data. That's the first thing to realize, that we are very, very serious about how we handle the data. So the way we handle the data is built into our systems and processes from day zero. Okay. No human has any access to data. What we have done over and top of that is we have taken certifications which prove that our environment is secure, our systems are secure. So we are ISO 27001 certified, and we are PCI DSS 3.2.1 certified.
All right.
And this is an ongoing process. This is not a one-time process. And once you are in and you have checked your score, we do not share your data with anybody else.
All right.
The data belongs to you. We use that data to surface insights to you, but at no point of time the data is given to anybody else, and the data is handled in a very, very responsible manner.
Okay. Mr. Vibhav, I'd like to come to you for this one, that if an individual comes to the OneScore app and he is new to this space, so do you actually guide him how to begin and create a robust credit report?
Absolutely. So there are a lot of young Indians who want to understand how to begin their entire credit journey, and we have various tools and mechanisms to help them. So one is where we would create a simulator and say that, okay, if you would have taken a credit product or a loan or a card, how would your score have been created and will grow over time? Then consumers came back and said, oh, this is a good simulator, but can you help us do something actual? So we went and said, you could use stuff like putting an FD to get a card product and build your credit history, and so on and so forth, so that we actually enable young Indians to then use this as a tool to create their credit history, and later on when it is built, then they can get access to various other products from various institutions.
All right. So let's debunk some myths around credit score and credit history. So a lot of people assume that high annual income automatically means a good credit score, and there are a lot of people who have this question. Our viewers had this question, that do all credit bureaus have the same score? So could you elaborate a little about that?
So high income does not necessarily mean a good score, because at a very generic level, credit score is a reflection of how you have kept your payment promises made to different lenders. And it could have just happened that your income was high but you ended up missing some payments. It will affect your score. So it is not related. That's one. Second thing is, why there's a different score from different bureaus, even though the payment data is same, because different bureaus have calibrated their credit scoring algorithms differently. As a lender, when lender is adjusting two different scores, they know what calibration to use. For example, for a particular customer, let's say if the probability of default is 1.5%, it might reflect a certain score in CIBIL versus different score level in Experian, because their calibration algorithms are like that. So, at a user level, usually in our app, that's why we guide that. We actually adjust that in our app. So when you talk about 850 score in Experian and 800 score in CIBIL, they kind of correlate to each other. And we actually guide the user that they are the same. Please don't get worried about it, because we know the calibration.
I think just taking forward from there, one of the,
Sure.
I think the biggest myths is checking your score has an impact on your score. It is not true.
It doesn't.
You should check your score as often as possible.
All right.
Of course, it changes only at certain points of time, but it doesn't have any impact on your score. So that's something that people should be aware of.
So, Mr. Bibhav, tell me, what are the factors that typically affect a credit score? And when the youth joins in on this brigade, what is the kind of advice you like to tell them? And how should they look at these factors when they take a loan or a credit card?
So 3 or 4 key factors. One is, if you have taken a credit product, never ever miss a payment, because the fact that you miss a payment will add a negative data to your credit history, and that will take time to recover from. The second part is, if you have taken a credit product like a credit card, utilize it to the level that you want. A very high utilization might be perceived as you requiring more credit than you actually should have. And third is, what kind of credit you have. Do you have a proper healthy mix of a credit card and loan, or have you just gone and taken multiple small loans? So these factors, and obviously how long and what vintage of credit history you have. Somebody having 1 year versus a 10-year good history, obviously the customer with a 10-year history has a better credit score and a better credit behavior. That's the core thing.
All right. And one last question for all of you. A quick tip for building a good and robust credit score.
I think the simplest thing is never miss any payment. So you should be aware when is your payment due and make payments on time. I think that's the biggest thing which contributes to your score.
And keep checking your score regularly.
Regularly.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
that you know how it's doing.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us and sharing your insights. And clearly, your credit score is a very important indicator of your financial health, and it is a volatile number. So remember to keep checking it regularly. And thank you all for watching.